Jerry Jones, but the people in that group, the people of that age, they didn't stop being what they were. They went on, became police officers and judges and nurses and doctors and bankers. And they still carried those same attitudes with them wherever they went.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to Around the Association. Comedian D.L. Hughley. He's always been someone that speaks up on all kinds of injustice, not just racial, but he actually got to speaking in regards to the Jerry Jones photo. Now, Stephen A. Smith, and even his quarterback, Dak Prescott, was kind of speaking up for Jerry Jones. I mean, just as a brief reminder, here's what Dak Prescott had to say in regards to the Jerry Jones photo.
In the same sense, it's 65 years ago. And how times have changed. I mean, look at the man's resume since then, right?
And this right here is where I must chime in. Looking at the man's resume since then. I mean, I'm not sure what Dak sees, but unless he's referring to the millionaires that Jerry Jones has made playing football, but he made it because he's a businessman, and that's the point D.L. Hughley spoke to. Take a listen here.
Jerry Jones went on and became a very successful businessman, and later on the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. And people, in response, he couldn't be racist because he made a lot of black millionaires. He made black millionaires because he was an NFL owner. An NFL owner. So you try fielding a successful NFL team without black people. You might as well try rugby. So he was a businessman who bought the best athletes, and somebody else would have done that.
That's my thinking. That's how I see it as well. That was strictly a business move. If he thought that someone else was a better athlete, he didn't just go out charity giving away his millions. He knew investing millions would indeed put more billions into his coffers, or 100 millions at a time. So how much credit do you want for being a good businessman? I think we all can agree the man's a good businessman. The conversation becomes where in his history has shown from that moment when he was 14 that it impacted him in a way where he now wanted to do something against the ills. I haven't seen it. In fact, upon just a little bit of research, when I look up the Gene and Jerry Foundation that they have set up for their philanthropy, their outreach programs targets 4 areas of interest, right? So one is character education, one is military outreach, one is women's health, the last one is a Hispanic outreach. So those are 4 great initiatives. 4 great initiatives. Do not see anything in regards to African American outreach, anything that directly targets the black community. I appreciate the Hispanic outreach, and to me there's enough room there to also have an African American outreach if that was a priority to you, which when we look back to that day in September 1957, I just don't see how someone that's remorseful and has changed wouldn't have an initiative. So Dak, when you say look at his track record, are you talking about, all of the guys in the locker room? I mean, this is a point where, again, D.L. Hughley touches on, and it makes perfect sense. Take a listen here.
And it was of the Jerry Jones, a very young Jerry Jones, when he was a high school student. And he was one of the people that were torturing young black kids who were trying to integrate a school in Little Rock. I don't know. I do know this. He's never hired a black coach. He's never really had a serious interview for one. So it would stand to reason that a man who felt like that at 14 probably feels the same way in his 80s. What in his experience would make him different? The fact that he hired black people who were the best in the field, the best at their positions, to do a thing for him, to be a service for him. Even back then, they had prize bucks.
Exactly my point. I mean, making millionaires while you make hundreds of millions off of them, creating generational wealth. I mean, Jerry Jones owns 51% of the Dallas Cowboys. You know, the other 49% is split up between his children. So that's how you build generational wealth. So handing off a few million here, a few million there to for players, you know, that's no problem for him. It's a business move. Now, where D.L. Hughley actually began to turn the conversation, I actually appreciate, because so much has been made up of Jerry Jones, and I get it. He's the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. But what D.L. Hughley spoke on after getting off of Jerry Jones is the other people in the photo. I mean, these are also people that had more effect to people's day-to-day life. You know, Jerry Jones was off becoming a billionaire in the oil industry. These people here ended up being teachers, doctors, lawyers, judges, right there in the community, police officers, firefighters, real estate agents, right there in that community where they did feel safe going to school with, you know, black kids.
No, I'm not judging the 14-year-old. I think you can judge. You can't judge any of those people at the age they were at. The problem is that what motivated them to be different. The same mentality that got him Emmett Till killed. It's the same mentality that was pervasive in that picture. Because these incidents happened about the same time. In the late 50s, Emmett Till was killed. This picture's from the late 1950s.
Now, I think that's a very good parallel, because Emmett Till and Jerry Jones were really in the same age range. And just 2 years prior to Jerry Jones and the white mob of students that were part of stopping 6 black students from integrating North Little Rock, Arkansas, national news was of Emmett Till's murder just 3 hours east, really southeast, to Greenwood, Mississippi from Little Rock, Arkansas. So it made national news, and that hasn't impacted you in any way to do more for the advancement of African Americans, even with your status and your stature. So yeah, we don't have to judge the 14-year-old, but there's no evidence of any growth since he was 14 years old, other than if they can run and if they're really strong, I'll put them on my field of work. I mean, now people can really see why they don't want their children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren at this point now to be learning about CRT, what they call the critical race theory, which I just call accurate American history. That's really what they should call it. They shouldn't even call it critical race theory. That makes it sound like it's something other than the truth. Just tell them the truth. Let's start with Columbus didn't discover anything. And a lot of those parents, grandparents, great-grandparents now from that photo, they don't want to have the tough conversations. And D.L. Hughley spoke on that as well.
So I know your nanas and papas are wonderful people, but take a look at some of those photo albums and get a sense of who they really were. Because those same people that you smile with and laugh with tortured children. And those people They got to pretend, they got to go on and pretend like nothing ever happened and move on, and everything changed except their mentalities. They watch Fox News. They say horrible things about people behind their back. And they raise the children. Like every time I see somebody who says something incredibly racist, I wasn't raised that way. You were. Look at the people who raised you. So I'm not judging the 14-year-old boys and girls in that picture. I'm not judging what they were. I'm judging what many of them are.
I agree. A lot of them that were raised up bigots, they passed that down on to the next generation, and they may be more subtle. Maybe they're not staying in front of your school. Maybe they are in position where they're not allowing certain funding to certain school districts. So they're still standing in front of your school even to this day. Let me know what y'all guys think. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'm out.
Recently, a photo of Dallas Cowboy owner Jerry Jones resurfaced of him as a 14-year-old high school student back in 1957. But this wasn't no Happy Days picture of him at the sock hop. Now, his ass was spotted in the back of an angry mob that was trying to block black kids from going to their school. Now, Jerry says he was just a curious spectator who happened to be there. However, others are calling for a flag on the play, okay? I am a Cowboys fan, but I'm not about to defend this white man, all right? Because he's gonna be fine, all right? It doesn't benefit any black person to defend this, and it's really no defense to be had. Just what do you think, Big Seals?
I just would have appreciated him keeping it a buck, because it wouldn't have been odd for him to be in that mix, because that was the mindset at that time.
That was the mix.
That was the mix. And then now the mix has shifted, we'd like to think, enough for him to say, I was wrong then, that was wrong then, and this is how we should be doing it now. I would have felt way better about it if he would have just done that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the call to action for Jerry Jones, well, first of all, Jerry Jones at that time may not have spent a lot of time with a lot of black people. And we know that he's spending a lot of time with a lot of black people at this point. So I think when we talk about the call to action, it speaks to what Representative Demings was saying. You know, at the end of the day, you have a powerful platform, you have a lot of money, and there are a lot of places to put that money that advances black folks beyond the systemic racism that you were a part of when you were 14.
True.